It's national meets regional. It's Sidewalks Entertainment. The long-running celebrity, music, and art series. Join us for a new path to arts and entertainment.
That bad boy right there is also from a jungle gym accident.
Wow. You have a lot of scars.
Well, I like to push my limits. Until I fall down.
Will you excuse me for a second?
Yep. This is a disaster.
You're doing great. Maybe a little less about jungle gyms.
It's not working. I'm just gonna tell her the truth.
You're gonna tell her that we faked a missed connection? That's gonna sound creepy.
Yeah, it is creepy. Hey, you. Welcome back. Thought maybe you escaped out the back door.
It was locked.
Our guest today is an actor best known for his role as Hyde on the long-running TV series That 70s Show. He's also a philanthropist, an entrepreneur, and a much sought-after DJ. I'd like to welcome Danny Masterson to Sidewalks.
Hey, Cindy, how are you?
Oh, I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Very good, thanks.
So great to have you with us on the show today.
I'm honored to be here, thank you.
So I know that you began your career as a child model. Was acting kind of always on the game plan for you, or did you sort of fall into it?
Sort of fell into it. I grew up on Long Island in New York, and you know, was one of those kind of cute kids with curly hair, and so someone said, you should put your kids in print ads, and so my mom sort of brought me into the city and signed a contract with Ford, and then started doing commercials a year later. Did commercials till I was 16, and stopped modeling when I was 14, and I guess the rest is history.
So do you remember the very first paid acting gig you ever did? Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was a Twinkie commercial that ran for
Nice.
years. They were trying to, it was 4 kids on the park trying to figure out how they got the filling inside the cake.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I was 5 years old.
Well, that's a good memory, too.
Yeah.
You actually also played the character of Milo on the comedy series Men at Work.
Yeah.
And for those that haven't seen this show, why don't you tell a little bit about what the storyline is?
Yeah, you basically have 4 guys, mid-30s, who all live in New York City, work at a magazine, kind of like a Maxim magazine, like a men's magazine. And you sort of have the relationships of themselves as friends, and all of them with their relationships with women and their bosses and whatnot. And you know, the first season sort of revolved around Milo, my character, being dumped by his what he thought was going to be his wife, and so having to get back on the dating scene for the first time in a decade, and following the advice of his friends, and generally everything going wrong, which is always funny. And the second season, you find him sort of now back in the game and having some enjoyment with ladies, and then that going wrong as well.
So when you first read the script for your character, Milo, what interested you about him?
Mostly that it was the exact opposite of Hyde from 70s Show, and also very different from me. So I thought that would be a good way to come back to TV. With, I guess, you know, just a polar opposite character is always something interesting for an actor.
Sure. Sure. Well, many people may not realize that this show was created and executive produced by Breckin Meyer.
Yes, who's a fantastic actor, one of the stars of Franklin and Bash.
I'll be darned. Good for him. Is he a real hands-on kind of guy?
Yeah, 100%. He wrote the pilot. He's written half the episodes of our 2 seasons. Milo is basically based on Breckin, so I'm basically playing him in a time of his heartbreak. And so a lot of times where he writes something, I'm like, I don't know how I would say that. He'll just sort of say it for me, and I go, oh, okay, I'll do it like that, buddy. So yeah, it's fun having him as my boss. You know, he's been my friend since we were 16 years old, and it's great having him on set.
Did you stop at Ray's Coffee House yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Did you have on a blazer and a beard?
Can't remember if I wore my beard yesterday.
Well, it says here on Misconnections that a woman at Ray's Coffee House had a moment with a handsome, slightly disheveled, curly-haired guy with a beard. I mean, other than the handsome part, that's you, man.
Well, of course, we have to talk about that 70s show, which really kind of puts you on the map as an actor.
Yeah.
The cast really kind of grew up together. Do you
Yeah.
have fond memories of that time?
Absolutely. You know, I started doing 70s show when I was 22, and we shot that till I was 30. You know, some of the kids were 15 and 16 years old. And you know, it was just sort of a great time. I'd been doing the show Sybil for 2 years and sort of came right over to start doing 70s. But for most of the other cast, it was sort of their first big job, and so all of us just sort of growing up together through, for me, my entire 20s was amazing. That show was
Sure.
like 8 years of summer camp.
Now, do you still keep in touch with any of the cast?
Yeah, all of us are actually all still friends, yeah.
Well, outside of acting, you own several restaurants. You also have a men's clothing boutique called Confederacy.
Confederacy, yeah, in East Hollywood. It's fantastic.
So where did this sort of entrepreneurial spirit come from?
I don't know. I think you're just either born that way or you're not. I've just, you know, I guess you have the opportunity when you have success as an actor where you can sort of invest in other ventures that interest you. And, you know, I've always been I've always enjoyed clothing, you know, suits and shirts, ties, etc., whatever. And so I wanted to have a store that had sort of a ton of labels that I really like all in one spot on the east side of Los Angeles, because there's not a whole lot for us over there, as opposed to going to 10 different stores on the west side. And so we opened Confederacy. I think it's now 5 or 6 years, and it's doing really well, and we're very excited about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I also wanted to ask you about your DJing.
Yeah.
You actually played Lollapalooza. I mean,
I did.
you do 50+ shows a year.
I do, yeah.
I had no idea about that until I started doing research, you know, for our interview today.
Yeah.
How did you sort of get into DJing? Like, where did that come from?
Grew up just obsessed with music. My mom was always playing something on the turntable. And so, late 90s, a friend of mine was doing a party on a Wednesday night, and he told me to bring by a couple crates of records. I did. We started going song for song and got very popular. And from that, people asked me to start playing their parties, and then a magazine party here and there, and then an event party, and then started doing clubs and bigger clubs and bigger clubs in Vegas, and then started sort of doing some indie electro remixes and playing festivals in Europe and Lollapalooza in Chicago. You know, during the Sundance Film Festival, I'll play 15 gigs in, you know, 8 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fun. It's my way of being a fake rock star for about 2 hours. And I really enjoy it. I've been doing it for a long time.
So is there a website or someplace people can go if they want to catch one of your gigs?
I mean, there's a ton of footage on YouTube, but my website's djmomjeans.com for people looking for some music or trying to book me someplace.
Okay, so I have to ask, DJ Mom Jeans?
Yeah.
What is that about?
Well, you know what mom jeans are, right? You know, the long, tall,
Indeed,
10-inch
indeed.
zipper. And, you know, so I just basically spent a very long time staring at Mila and Laura's mom jeans and making fun of them. So I decided to embrace it.
Nice. As we close, do you have any career advice for rising young actors that are out there trying to find their way into the business?
God, I'm really bad at this because I started so young. You know, career advice, I don't know. If you're good at it, you'll probably work. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have good career advice. It's a tough business, and there's a lot of great actors. I mean, I know for sure in most of the roles that I book, I'm sure there's 1,000 actors better than me. But it's sort of being right spot at the right time and keeping your head on straight and just sort of deciding you're going to get the particular job you're going for.
Danny, thank you so much for being with us today on
thank you,
Sidewalks.
Cindy.
It was such a pleasure.
I
wish you all the
appreciate it.
best.
Cheers.
For more full-length celebrity interviews, visit sidewalkstv.com.